We'll give people a minute or two. I resent out the link too, because I'm not sure if, did you have trouble with the link getting in?
I did briefly.
Okay. All right. I don't know what.
It doesn't explain my lateness, but yes.
All right. Well, I had jury duty today.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I hate, and we're just going to kill some time to give people a chance to get on here. I hate the way they do it now, because it's like the call-in thing. Oh my God, I'd rather just go, let me go that day. So Friday I called in and was like, I didn't have to go. So I'm thinking, I'm not going to go. So then it kind of like slipped my mind. And then like 10 o'clock last night, I was like, shoot, I'm supposed to call in. And I had my whole day planned of all kinds of stuff that I was going to do. And so about 10 o'clock, I called us because I was like, oh my God, I better call in. So I called in. Of course, my group numbers get called. So now I'm like scrambling around the house because all the stuff I was going to do in the morning, I needed to do that night, the whole bit. And I am so not a morning person because I'm going to events. It's like mornings are just not my thing. If I have to get up to an alarm, I just like can't. Got there at 7:30, went through the line, sat in the place, the whole 9 yards. About 11 o'clock, I put my feet up on the chairs in front of me. I don't know if you can see that.
Like that wet spot on the floor?
No, look at my shoes. 2 different shoes.
Oh, yes.
Amazing.
Oh wait, in the morning, right? And I had been walking around just like thinking that I'm just like the whole 9 yards. And for whatever reason, I just was like, oh my God, I got so tired. I stuck my feet up and I went, oh my God. I'm like,
out in public.
And I was like, this should disqualify me right here. I should not be able to serve on a jury because of my footwear. Oh my God. And I was so funny because you know how quiet those rooms are? I literally was silent laughing so hard at myself. I'm texting my family. I sent them the picture. They're dying. I've got tears coming down my eyes because I am just like, oh my God. And my one daughter goes, at least they're both black. I'm like, oh my God. But anybody just looks down, they are different shoes. They are different shoes. Anyways.
Where did they get this lady?
Exactly. She should not be selected for a jury. She has no business being here. So that was my morning. So anyways, yeah.
Obviously you didn't make it onto.
Yeah, they didn't even call me into a room this time. Last time they called me into a room, it was a murder trial, but I was like, there were 4 people. I was almost, it was like they only had 4 more people to go, but they got the last person like 4 more before me.
That's terrifying.
So yeah.
I feel like I'm like in theory very like into being on a jury.
Right.
Because like I do think it's like a civic duty.
Right.
And
that's why I go.
Take that very seriously.
Yeah.
And then every time I'm in there, everyone is so stupid that I just am like, get me out of this room immediately. Like, please.
I know. I was actually on a murder trial. We were like 4 or 5 days in, and we were seeing like evidence and seeing stuff. I mean, it was like, but then the defendant's attorney got sick, so it was a mistrial. So couldn't. The guy ended up being. I still thought the guy got. Anyways, we're not here to talk about jury duty. Sorry.
I know. We could swap.
I know. Well, we can't. I mean, it's like we've got all kinds of stuff coming up this week. We've got as far as events go, a gentleman who lost his son about gun control. And Kill Show is next week, I think. Is Kill Show yours or is that? I think it's Gabe's. I think Kill Show is Gabe's. But anyways, yeah. Okay. Got some good stuff. Still great stuff coming out. So Julia, I've got the screen share on, I think, if you need it.
Oh, good.
Screen share's on for you, and then it'll go you and Tom. And I might throw in a couple little anecdotes that I'm reading. So
okay. Let me get I'm just gonna share this screen and then just gonna do this Edelweiss for you. So my first one is Lay Them to Rest. On the Road with the Cold Case Investigators Who Identify the Nameless by Laura Norton. So if you guys fans of the Fall Line podcast, which is on the Exactly Right Network, which is where My Favorite Murder, which is basically the biggest true crime podcast out there. This is part of that network, the Fall Line podcast that Laura does. She is fascinating, and she spent a ton of time with all these like forensic investigators who go into these cold cases and try to find, you know, bits of evidence that maybe we didn't have the technology to like dig out when these cases happened, or that something got overlooked, or that, you know, the police department didn't do what it was supposed to do. She kind of goes in with the investigators who are working on these cases and sort of profiles the cases and looks at them and what they do for a living. It's a fascinating book. She is a great writer. So for those of you who love true crime, and love to read true crime, but also are like focused on the victims and getting the victims the justice that they deserve, I think this is a great one. I think it's also a great gift book for the true crime, the people who, like me, I hate saying I'm a fan of it because I'm not like pro true crime. Like I don't want there to be these books, but I do read a lot of them.
Yeah. Well, they're fascinating. I mean, it's, you know, for whatever reason, it's, you know, that car wreck fascination that we have with them. It's just, but I love that cover.
Isn't that a great cover?
It's such a good cover. And I'm assuming you gave one, or you're getting one of these into Mallory's hands, right?
Yes, she has one.
Because she is just like,
But it comes out tomorrow, so it'll be I know Exactly Right Network does a lot of promotion for their books and their people, so you'll be hearing about it definitely.
Yeah, that one, that looks fascinating. I might have to get that one for my daughter.
Well, and it's true of books, it's true of podcasts, and every time I seem to, the TV will be on after a baseball game or something, and then 2020 or Dateline, or and I'm like, hours later I'm like still watching that.
Yeah,
right.
Forensic
well, that's
Files.
The thing. I mean, it's not even, I mean, because like there's the true crime podcast and stuff, but the Dateline and that stuff's been going on for years.
I know.
Sure.
You know, I mean, so it's been, there's a nationwide obsession, if you want to call it, or whatever.
Yeah.
With the
ongoing.
And
I think
ongoing love affair.
Yeah, I do think that like people are a little bit more aware of how they're telling the stories now.
Yes.
That like, you know, even I know Shannon hasn't been on here, but last night we had a little rep night and she brought out Bright Young Thing.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that one, Bright Young Woman. Yes. Yeah,
that like is basically, it's about Ted Bundy, but it's not about Ted Bundy. No. It's about the women that you know, were victims of him. And like, not to sell you someone else's book, but
I'll talk about it if you want.
But like but you know, one of the things that sticks out to me always in that case is that at the end, when the judge said, you know, you seem like such a bright young man, and this man has killed like how many women? Dozens.
Yeah, it's too bad this is happening because you're such a bright young man.
Right. And it's like, okay, so I like the trend, and this book is definitely part of it, of like flipping that narrative and saying like, that wasn't a bright young man. That was a police department that saw a guy who looked like them and didn't do anything about the fact that there were like a lot of signals.
Yeah, lots of signals in that one. That's a really good book. She did a really good one because she doesn't name him right away.
Right.
She doesn't, you kind of figure, if you know anything about serial killers and you figure it out. But for some of the younger people though, like I was talking to some of the younger, like my daughter's age, and they weren't really that obsessed with him like we were. So they really didn't know at first when they were reading it, you know.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
Well, and Julia, we won't spoil the movie, but Julia and I last night were talking about Killers of the Flower Moon. And I think, did you think that there was like, we won't say anything, but like, I think there was a critique of true crime obsession in that movie. Did you think so too?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
without spoiling anything, but.
Yeah. I definitely think that like the theory of like the lone like genius killer who like, you know, they keep outsmarting everyone left and right. Like, I think there is a critique of that within that movie. And I think that that's like really smart because I don't think that that's true. I don't think that there are lone genius killers.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They're like,
somebody's helping them. Somebody's helping them along the way. maybe not helping them do it, but by not exposing them or
Yeah,
whatever, you know,
people are
that's helping
ignoring
them. Right.
signs.
They're ignoring
Yeah.
signs. Yeah, exactly. Okay, Tom, for you, Darcy's on here and she finished Last Devil to Die last week and said it's the best one so far by Richard
Excellent.
Osman.
Oh, that's so great to hear. And I totally agree. Best one yet. That's
Best
fantastic.
one yet. So there we go. Okay, what do you got for us this week?
Okay, so this week, a lot of nonfiction. This is just a nonfiction week, which is unusual for me. But first one is Adam Grant's Hidden Potential, The Science of Achieving Greater Things. So he's a professor at the Wharton School of Business, he's a psychologist, so he does a lot of research into human behavior. And now he's a TED Talk superstar, best-selling author. The last book was Think Again. Which has been in hardcover for a couple of years. It is coming in paperback after Christmas. Of course, after Christmas. But his books take, in a way, simple ideas, but then give you all the science behind it, and then give you motivation to try to change your life. So in here, he's talking about and these books can be applied to every aspect of life, which is why they're so popular. They could be for educators, they could be for business people, they could be for just everyday people. So, but his point here is that we all have hidden potential, and that it's about how you think about, learning, basically. It doesn't necessarily mean, it's not like the Malcolm Gladwell where you, whatever number of 10,000 hours, it's not that, the hard work is part of it, but it's also being smart about how you're learning and accepting failure and dealing with failure. All of that is part of the hidden potential that you can unleash if you follow some of the rules in here. And so it's, he's now so connected. We have quotes from Serena Williams, Mark Cuban, Yo-Yo Ma. So again, just to make the point, you can take any area of endeavor, but Serena Williams says, this brilliant book will shatter your assumptions about what it takes to improve and succeed. I wish I could go back in time and gift it to my younger self. It would have helped me find a more joyful path to progress. So I think that captures it. And then there's, this is really for the Atomic Habit. If you have enjoyed Atomic Habits, and I think we've sold 4 million copies in hardcover now. So there's a lot of people enjoying Atomic Habits and gifting Atomic Habits. There's no new book from James Clear, so why not make it the Adam Grant Hidden Potential?
Awesome. There's a good cover too, with the diamond coming out. It's a really good cover.
Yeah, it's perfect for this book.
Yeah, really good. I like that with the diamond coming out of it. I can't remember where I saw it. It's been bugging me when you were talking the whole time, but I saw somebody or something was that book about no free will.
Yeah, Determined.
Determined, but the whole concept of it, I mean, it's been all over everywhere.
I know. It's gotten a lot of press.
It's got a lot, but even not just but the concept too. It's just like people are talking about, not even talking about the book, but talking about the concept of the whole thing. And it's just like, it's really, that whole phenomenon is out there exploding right now.
Heard first on Tea Time. Right. Of course. Right. Why am I not surprised?
Why am I not surprised by that? We are pathfinders, man. Trailblazers. Yes. All right, Julia, what do you got next?
Okay, I've got He, She, They, How We Talk About Gender and Why It Matters by Skylar Baylor. There it is. And Skylar is a trans man. He's an athlete. He is the first out trans person who was on a Division I sports team. He was on the Harvard swim team. And this is, I think, a really great book for, I would say, for parents of kids who are questioning gender or who are looking at gender, or grandparents, just family members of kids who are sort of trying to wrap their head around how thoughts about gender are changing, and who are coming to it with an open mind and an open heart. I think it's good for kids as well, but to me this really is about sort of opening doors and minds for people who might be maybe questioning why their kid or nephew or niece or whoever, their sister, is thinking about their gender, or how they're thinking about their gender. I just think it's a really great one. And he's got a big platform on TikTok and has had such a great like reception to this book. It got a book list starred review. So this is just a really great one. I think I'm sort of now thinking with holidays in mind, and I'm thinking, this is a good one to, by people who are, like I said, have an open mind about it and are really like trying to understand the people in their lives,
Right.
and show up with support.
Right.
It's
And just knowing how to talk, how to say the
Yeah.
right things,
Yeah, and he comes at it with that sort of like, maybe you feel uncomfortable talking about this or uncomfortable saying certain things, and like, let's sort of talk about how to do this and how to do it in a respectful way, in a comforting way. So
Right. What's the youngest age you think it's appropriate for?
I mean, I think it's appropriate for all ages. I mean, I would say like probably.
I mean, I wouldn't say appropriate, that they would get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I would say in like a tweeny kind of way, they could probably read it,
Yeah. Okay.
and get it. But I think to me the aim is really. I'm so sorry if you can hear children screaming.
No.
I live next to a school.
We can't.
Okay. I can hear children screaming.
Yeah. It's amazing how these mics don't pick up the ambient noise.
I
They
know,
really don't.
Right,
but
it's
like,
true.
it
Except for
feels
my
like it to
dogs.
me, so I
Yes.
apologize.
Yeah.
But so anyway, I think that like, I think that children who or younger people who are thinking about their own gender,
Right.
yeah, I think it works for them. But to me, the way I sort of see the book is as like for people who have people in their lives that are sort of dealing
Right.
with gender dysphoria or thinking about their gender in different ways, and like to help them sort of navigate.
And that's what I mean. And I think that's good for the tweens that have, that's where I was going with that comment.
Yeah,
was like
yeah,
helping
totally.
them, helping them as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, definitely. It's really sheds light on, it's sort of an intro.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, it's not a deep, dive into like gender theory. It's not Judith
Right.
Butler.
Well, and I mean,
But-
I had huge conversations with my daughter about just terminology one time. We were driving in the car because it's just like, I'm old. It's just like, I'm not in with younger people. And so it's just like, help me, just
I've done the same thing with my kids.
Yeah. It's just like, help me, I need
Yeah.
to learn.
I used to correct my dad was a high school teacher, and I used to correct him sometimes when he would get confused. And he was always coming at it from a kind place,
Right.
but let me help you.
Let me help you.
Just don't say this. So you're
Yeah, let me help you.
Yeah.
My kids don't necessarily take the "let me help you" approach, but they do correct me.
Yeah, well,
Quit being.
After
I actually started the conversation, so I'm just gonna go there with that. It's like, I need help. Give me this. All right, Tom, what do you got?
Okay, so I am super excited about this book. It is called Opposable Thumbs: How Siskel and Ebert Changed the Movies, because I am definitely a child of Siskel and
Yep.
Ebert.
Yep, for sure.
And maybe it was the movies, it was the Midwest. I was in St. Louis, they were in Chicago. So I am sure I saw every iteration of Siskel and Ebert. Like, it started off as one of the early ones was sneak previews.
Right.
And so the book is about, it's nostalgia for me, at least, and I think a lot of readers. But they changed a lot of things. And these were two, one was Siskel was the movie critic for the Tribune, Chicago Tribune. Ebert was at the Sun-Times. They were genuinely rivals in a time when that was a thing between two same city newspapers. They didn't like each other, and yet they created this thing together that they kind of fell into it, and then they became celebrities. It didn't take too many years before they were both celebrities. They were celebrities in their own right, showing up on the Tonight Show, covering the Oscars, but also filmmakers started to look to them because they were also, with the thumbs up and thumbs down, they were,
the first influencers.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and they still value, like, if you read their reviews, they were still serious critics writing reviews. But if you didn't read them, all you knew was thumbs up or thumbs down, which has been a problem ever since. But anyway, so the author is Matt Singer, who is a really great film writer on film. He hosted a podcast for many years. So film people know him, love him. He had access to a lot of archives. I think through Roger Ebert's wife, a lot of stuff that hasn't been seen before, letters. And they genuinely, like, it's a classic situation where most of their lives, they didn't like each other. But towards the end, they both died of cancer in different ways. So they were human beings who did end up liking each other a little bit in the end. But
oh, really? Now, see, that's fascinating. So they really didn't like each other throughout their doing this. Really?
And I remember, and a lot of time, I remember, I don't know where I saw this, but I saw someone show, like, decades ago, but like, they often agree, even when they agreed, if you turned off the sound, they were so combative, you would think they were fighting about something that they completely disagreed about. But most likely it was good. Marty Scorsese's Goodfellas or something. They agreed, but the combativeness was also part of the show, right. And they learned to play that up too. So we live in a post-Siskel and Ebert world. They were more influential than I think people give them credit for. And the book is just candy, like so much fun. And so now I'm going to bring it back to original Tea Time. We have a quote from Mark Harris, the author of Mike Nichols' A Life. So he says, he's one of the foremost, my favorite people on movies. He says, "We get so much here. A dual portrait of two big personalities at war with one another, both as critics and as men, a history of the invention and reinvention of a seminal TV series, and a deep sense of the abiding love for movies that course through their work and that courses through Matt Singer's." So take it from Mark Harris, by Opposable Thumbs. Also one of the greatest titles of all time.
It's really a good title. And talk about, Julia, to your point about gift books, talk about a perfect gift book. Like, if you don't really know what to get, that's a great hostess gift.
Totally.
Okay, Beth Doherty's on here giving you grief. You mentioned
Mike
Nichols. It's time to drink. Every time you mention
Julia, you missed the years of Mike Nichols. Like, where Barbara is, that's where the Mike Nichols book was for a long time.
There wasn't a week that went by a lot of times that we didn't somehow Mike Nichols came into the conversation for many weeks.
Relevant to many conversations.
He really is,
so
as we've learned over the years. Pretty much always there's something.
Hey, Amanda saying everyone take a shot of tea. I think we need a little something stronger than tea.
Yes. I've driven you to something stronger.
Which reminds me, I didn't bring it in here. I'm reading a galley of a book called The Secrets. It's not coming out till late next year. Secrets of Rosebriar Hill or something like that. So the woman thinks that the maid is poisoning her tea. So thinking about tea, it's really good. It's just like this old manor house set in like the Gilded Age. It's actually pretty good. I'm enjoying it very much. Totally not my kind of book.
Right.
Because I finished The Glutton. Holy moly.
It looked like did you end up loving The Glutton or?
Loving, I don't know that I loved it. But I really liked it. But I'm afraid to say that only because it's twisted. It is so twisted, and it is. I equated. I think last time, Tom, I equated it with. I put it with Pat Susskind with Perfume. And Laura Groff's writing, and it really is a Susskind-ish. I mean, if you like Perfume and the depravity of Perfume, but this goes even a little bit darker in that world. So if you want to really,
that's wild. That's a wild statement.
But I swear to God, it's like the end. I was like, oh no, he didn't. Oh no, oh no. But the writing. So I will say I loved her writing. I mean, it was like I couldn't stop reading. It was like talking about watching a train wreck. You couldn't stop reading this book. So her writing is fantastic. And we're going to host her for a virtual event. but it was so I kind of like you kind of when you say that you love perfume, it's hard to say that to people who've read it because they're just like, okay, you're twisted and you are just
What's
like,
wrong with
what's
you?"
wrong with you?
Yeah,
what's
right.
wrong with you for loving that book? And I'll never forget on Susskind, it was so funny because I think it was my sister, because there's a I think we talked about this once before, but there's a translation where the ending's a
you
little
told us
bit
that, right.
different. The ending's
Right.
a little bit different. And my sister was talking about it. I was like, oh, Val, you need to go back and reread that and read a different version, because let me tell you what the ending is.
The real ending, right?
Let me tell you what the real ending is. But anyways, so Glutton is like, yeah, it's
And that's coming out next year, right?
no, Glutton's out in like a couple weeks.
Oh,
Yeah, Glutton's either it's out
okay.
next week or the week after. Glutton's coming out. And so it's really good. Yeah, virtual is great, Dee. We love the virtual then. Because in person, yeah, what would you serve in person for Glutton? I won't spoil anything. Anyways,
yeah.
so
I
no,
don't
so
I don't think I want to know, but okay.
I know, I'm getting creeped out.
oh yeah, I'll tell you after, because I was like, I don't want to spoil it for anybody. Because honestly, if you like that kind of a book, it's really good. I mean, it's really good.
Right.
But you have to really like, you got to go dark and you don't mind getting grossed out.
Totally.
So it's very good though. All right. We're in, what do I call it? Lightning round.
Yeah, right.
What do I call this thing?
Lightning.
Lightning.
Okay. My last one is a romantic. It's a romance, but it's not like a bodice rippery romance. It's called Stars in Your Eyes by Kacen Callender. Who's a National Book Award winning author. You can see right there on the cover, it says it. So a thing that I don't know how many people know this about me, but I love a romance.
I did not know that.
Yeah. I find them extremely fun. I love a book I can sit down and read all in one sitting, which is what I did with this book. And this one was great. And I gotta say, I was so Kacen Callender normally writes YA romance, and this is their first adult romance book. So it's very good. It is definitely like, it's about two movie stars, one who's sort of an established movie star and one who's up and coming. And they are cast in a movie together as like love interests. And this is two men, and they have to, basically the established movie star says something very snarky about the not so established movie star's ability to act and publicly, and then they have to fake date, and that of course in any good romance turns into real feelings. It's enemies to lovers, it's fake dating. I had such a great time with it. I will say that like at one point I was like, it got into some real stuff, and I was like, as the gay community, I'll represent the whole gay community right now. Are we okay with everyone else reading this? We haven't talked about this as a group yet. This hasn't come up in the meetings yet. So I don't know. It's like very real. It like deals with real things. And I just absolutely loved it. So it's a fun book, but it's also like, it's got real stuff in it.
Got some stuff. I love it.
Yeah, totally.
Maybe too much.
Well,
no, not too much, but you never know who's going to take stuff and run with it and be like weird about it. So.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It happens a lot these days.
Yeah.
Especially these days. Stay off of X. Oh my God. All right,
Julie,
Tom.
Julie, it's called Twitter. Come on.
I've been trying so hard
to transition to X.
Transition to X.
I reject that.
And I get called out the very first time I call. This is the first time I've done it.
Stop that, Julie. Stop it. Stop it right here.
It's Twitter.
Still have formally Twitter in their like in the parentheses next to everything. It's like
I know every time it appears in the New York Times, it's like that X. Formerly known as X.
Formerly Twitter. Yeah. So
we need like a little symbol like Prince when he was formerly known as.
We should do that. To start doing Prince, just doing the Prince thing. Let's do Prince symbol every time we talk about. All right, Tom, wrap us up.
So So I was trying to print out the cover like I usually do. And then I was thinking maybe I can do a screen share, which I never do, but I can't.
There you
So
go. Okay.
can we see
The big fail?
The big fail? Okay. That beautiful cover that you can barely see. Anyway, the subtitle is What the Pandemic Revealed About Who America Protects and Who It Leaves Behind. It's a big, serious, these are two serious journalists, Joe Nocera and Bethany McLean, digging into the pandemic response of this country. And it's called The Big Fail. So I think you know where they come down. It's not, so together they wrote All the Devils Are Here, which was about sort of the similar takedown of the world of finance after the 2008 collapse. So this is their territory. They're really good journalists, really good reporters. The only question is, we all have moved on so quickly. We don't want to go back. We don't want to look backwards to that terrible time. But I think it is important to see what we did wrong, which was a lot. And so that the next time, because there will likely be some kind of next time, we do it better. So I think that is the ultimate message. But if you want like a true journalistic history of what happened during the pandemic and the government response, both the federal government and state, the things they did right, things they did wrong, it's all here in The Big Fail.
I hope that there's not another, I hope another 100 years go by that there's not another something, so that people because I think we're really screwed if something does come again, because I think there's going to be half of this population that's not going to believe anything.
Yeah, right.
I agree with you. On either side of it. So I just think that I hope there's a lot of generations that go by before we have the next one, so that people will believe things again. So
and Kirkus ends its review. It says a damning report card presenting a distressingly exhaustive array of pandemic fumbles. So yeah.
All right.
Maybe we could learn from The Big Fail, but probably not.
So it goes back to that thing that the right people will be reading it.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah.
Okay, so there's a hi, Lori from Santa Luz. We're bringing back the luncheons to Santa Luz next year. So we got some things in work, Lori. But she says, why don't you bring tea time on the road?
I love it.
We're going to be a road show.
Excellent. What a great idea.
I love it. We're going to go travel around. We're going to sell out arenas with.
That's right.
We're going to be the new.
Pay up. People have to pay for the in-person.
The in-person tea time.
Magic.
I love it. Well, there used to be a thing called rep nights, which I hear you guys are doing again. But there was only once a year that we would do them. This is every week we bring you all of this fun stuff.
Now this is much more in depth.
Every week you get to bring certain things. And I told Tom last time, I have PTSD from doing the rep nights at Warwick, so you won't be seeing
those aren't coming back anytime soon.
They're not coming back anytime soon. So this is my solution to the rep night. So
there you go.
You get lots more books, you get lots more discussion about lots more titles this way. So anyways, pack shoes, he says. I know. Pack shoes after 6 a.m.
Now everyone will be first thing they look at
is shoes. It's just like, oh my God. And I love it. Dee said earlier, she goes, you got a matching pair at home. Exactly.
True.
Oh my God, I died when I looked down. It was just like, are you kidding me? I was just, and I had errands to run after, and I was going, oh my God, do I do curbside service so that I don't have to go out into the store? And to my daughter, nobody's looking at your feet, Ma. It's like,
no, it's true.
It's true.
And even when we were looking at your feet, Julie and I didn't.
Yeah.
I know. It's like, what am I looking at here? I don't know what's right in the middle. What am I looking at? It's like, okay, it's not really. I should have put it as a screenshot because you probably would have got it immediately. Anyways. Lots of good stuff. We've got we have an interesting Raising Baby by the Stars is a virtual event we're doing tomorrow, which I think is going to be really fun. So tune into that if you're around at 4. And then if you're in San Diego, look at our calendar. We got lots of good stuff coming. Michael Connolly is coming.
Oh, that's exciting.
I know, Michael Connolly. We're taking him down to Oh my God, Coronado. So he'll be down to Coronado. So look at that. And
What day is that again, Julie?
November 8th, I want to say.
Okay.
8th or 9th, but I think it's the 8th.
Yeah. And the book comes out on the 7th. So
Okay, yeah. So right there.
it'll be right then. Yeah.
Yep. All right, everybody. And
And we're getting closer and closer each week.
each week.
Tom-
November 7th.
Tom dropped a bit of knowledge last night that I'd like to share with the group, which is that this is 1,000 pages.
Yes.
This,
Yeah. Well,
this biography.
not
this
quite,
memoir.
not quite. I mean, if you round up,
Almost.
972.
3 chapters on Yentl.
Yes,
I-
3 chapters.
I mean,
Will you buy it just for that?
just for that.
Exactly.
Only.
Just for those 3.
How
chapters.
many
Yes.
chapters of Prince of Tides? That's the next
I
question.
don't, yeah, I know.
Yes.
And since, as I also said last night, they have kept this top secret from me. I don't know any more than that yet.
I can't wait to find out, Tom.
I know.
I will tell you. I will share.
I
the
wonder,
knowledge.
okay, here's my question. Will it be an Oprah pick?
Oh my God, can you imagine? That would be,
Would that just be the best?
yes.
I will just sit in front of my computer and watch every interview
Oh, yeah,
that
yeah.
they'll do.
Oh, I will say, if you and all the people watching have not recently revisited, I don't know if you remember on Saturday Night Live, Mike Myers used to do Coffee Talk with Linda
Oh, yeah.
Richmond.
Yes.
And there is an episode, or there's a sketch of that where it's Mike Myers and Madonna and Roseanne Barr.
Yeah.
And Madonna and Mike Myers are playing girlfriends, and then Roseanne Barr is playing Madonna's mom. And it is one of the most hilarious sketches ever. And Madonna is like, you know, she's like dragging herself basically.
Right.
She's like, oh, that Madonna, she's such a hoe. Like, and then Barbara Streisand walks in because, you know, their whole
I
thing
don't
was
remember
Barbara
that.
Oh, it's
Streisand.
so good.
Barbara Streisand walks in, and you can tell for a second that these people did not know that Barbara Streisand was coming because they freak out for like 1 second and then get back in character and freak out as the characters. Go YouTube that.
YouTube it.
Is one of the funniest things that's ever happened.
I
It
am
is-
doing that as soon as we're over. as soon
Oh,
as
you
this-
have to.
Truly,
And then don't you think there's probably a chapter on that?
I'm guessing
Because
it was
Oh,
a
We need
God.
to know how
huge-
that went down.
It was a huge deal.
it was a huge thing.
Yeah.
Like,
That's what I'm loving. Okay, we're totally getting off topic, and then we'll let everybody go.
there's no
But,
one here.
It's just us
me and
kids.
Tom.
It's just us kids. The Andrew Reynolds and Josh, what's his name, have a show on
Dad.
Broadway.
Oh,
And it's called Gutenberg, but
Yeah.
part
Oh,
of it
yeah.
is where they wear a bunch of hats is how they do this thing, right? So one of the hats is producer, and they have these people come on stage that they don't know who's coming on that night as the producer. So Nathan Lane came on one night, and they were
Oh,
just, I
that's
mean,
funny.
the glee that since they had no idea. Lin-Manuel came on. I mean, those guys talk about just filling you with joy. If you're
Yeah.
in New York, if I was in New York, I'd be seeing that thing all the time. It just looks like
oh,
it's
that's
just
a great,
thing
brilliant
of
idea.
joy. Yeah, but to the same point, I mean, they walk on, it's just like they're trying to stay in character, but it's just like they can't. You know,
Right.
it's like they're just giddy, and they're just like,
Yeah.
oh, it's super cute. All right, everybody, good books, good reading. We will see everyone next Monday. No jury duty. This was by the hair of our chinny chin chin coming on this one, because Amanda was on vacation. I got called into jury duty last night. I wasn't sure if Amanda was back from vacation.
Oh, wow.
And I was potentially going to be on a case. So I was just like, oh my God. So we didn't miss.
Right. And I was at Skyline, I was at a bookstore, and I didn't know whether I would make it. So
You made it. Well,
Okay.
my thing was like, I was being so disappointed because we have not missed a week since we started this.
that's,
Oh.
and that's now that's that's better than a Wordle streak.
I
That's,
know. Exactly. I want to be on like some Guinness World Book Record thing or something. I'm
Yeah.
going for it now. Don't drop the ball. I'm not dropping
But
the
the
ball.
ball was in the air.
It was in the air today. It was getting
Yeah.
close. All right, everybody. It's the jury system. What's D saying? Oh my God, it's great. Even the jury system keeps tea time on. Exactly. We just
That's right.
cut me off. My shoes. I should have been disqualified from having 2 different shoes on. All right, everybody. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.